Welcome. My name's Diggins, and I'm going to lead through a roughly 30-minute mindful movement sequence which is designed to be used with the 8-week mindfulness course, although you can try it on its own if you like to do that. Now, this mindfulness sequence comes in two halves. Both halves are from the Chinese Qigong tradition, but they're inspired by that tradition, so these movements aren't accurate and faithful representations of Qigong. And there are two very important things to bear in mind when doing mindful movement. So the first is to look after your body. Don't do anything that doesn't feel right for you, and please do take responsibility for your body. So listen to what your body needs, and you can adjust or adapt any of the movements if any of them don't feel right for you. And related to that, the second important thing to bear in mind is that the reason we do these practices on mindfulness courses is as a focus for attention. So it's a way of bringing attention to a part of our experience, in this case, sensation and motion. Now, if you think about our daily lives, much of our lives involves moving in one way or another. So learning to bring attention to the body in movement is a very valuable life skill and a very powerful way of bringing mindfulness right into the heart of our daily lives. So because of that, it really doesn't matter whether you get the movements right or wrong. If you were to do Qigong or yoga in a yoga class or a Qigong class, there would be a correct and an incorrect. That doesn't apply here. So just follow the movements as best you can and bring attention to everything that happens, including thoughts, judgments, a sense of being awkward, a sense of enjoying it. So treat the whole thing as an awareness practice. So, the first of these movements, this first half of this sequence is going to involve tapping the body. But let's start by just feeling the body standing. So feeling a sense of your body in contact with the ground. And you can look at me, or you might like to close your eyes for this bit. So how does it feel simply to be standing? This is something that all of us do at some point every day, those of us who can. But what does it feel like? Feeling your feet in contact with the ground, your weight pressing down, and then feeling the body rising up. Noticing any sense of bracing or tensing. Most of us carry tension around the body, so feeling into your neck and your shoulders, and the rest of the body, and noticing anywhere where you're tightening habitually. And you might find that just simply by bringing attention to those areas, they start to soften naturally. There's a sense of natural settling. So letting your weight sink down and just experiencing being. You're not having to, in this moment, do anything. How does it feel simply to be? Standing and breathing. So feeling the direct experience of sensation in the body just as it is right now. And taking your time with this. So in just a moment we're going to move into the first of the practices, the first half of this sequence. So if you have had your eyes closed, open your eyes now. And starting by taking your fingers up to your scalp and just tapping gently on your scalp. So you can do this ever so gently if you want to, even just with a slight patter, or if you want to, you can tap a bit more vigorously. But feeling the sensations, feeling the actual sensations in the fingers, in your head, the scalp. And then coming round to your face, and here you can either tap or if you want to, you can just massaging your face. Listening to your body, noticing what your body wants. Feeling your neck. Now what does this actually feel like in your fingers, in your face, and your neck? And breathing. And then pausing. And just taking a moment to stand and feeling the sensations in your hands and your face and your head. Buzzing, tingling, pulsing. Giving yourself a moment just to be. And then taking one arm by the elbow and folding across to the opposite shoulder. So your hand is on the opposite shoulder, and then just gently tapping that muscle of the shoulder. If you want to, you can tap quite vigorously, or you might want to do this very gently. And then tapping down the outside of the arm, and up the inside. And then you're doing this 3 times. So gently tapping down the muscle, and up the inside. And pausing. And noticing any difference between the left arm and the right arm. Difference in the sensations. Breathing. And then taking the arm you've just tapped and folding that hand over to the opposite shoulder and tapping on that shoulder. And then coming down the outside of that arm and up the inside. And here, noticing how it actually feels. Sensations of your knuckles and your hand, or if you're just using the flat of your hand, just feeling the sensations of your hand against the arm. And then pausing. Standing, breathing, and feeling the arms and the rest of the body. Coming to rest, allowing your weight to sink. Arriving here in this moment, right now. And then we're going to move to the torso. So starting with the chest area, tapping around the chest, like a silverback gorilla. And again, you can do this gently or vigorously. Noticing how it feels, and then coming to the belly, and here you can tap, or you can just rub the abdomen. Nice to do this in a clockwise direction if you're rubbing, good for your digestion. You may even hear the sound of your hands moving against your clothing. And then pausing, feeling the body standing, the abdomen, the chest, buzzing, tingling, pulsing, energy, whatever you notice. And then coming to your back, flicking down the sides of the spine like this, taking care around the kidney area, so going gently around the kidney area, which is around about here. Feeling sensations in your hands and in your back. And then coming to the buttocks, if you want to, you can place your thumbs inside your fists or just gently holding your hands loose. And then the hips. And then pausing. And feeling the whole of the top half of your body. And the legs. But particularly noticing the areas you've been tapping. Noticing how they feel. And breathing. So we've been doing, we've been tapping, and now we're just being. Just feeling how it is just to stand. And then we're going to do the legs. So take extra care here, particularly if you have a back difficulty. You can do this sitting down in a chair. But placing one leg forward and taking care how you go down, tapping down the back leg. And again, pausing. And now feeling the other leg and noticing how that feels compared to the rest of the body. And then placing that leg forward and tapping. And then you can finish the sequence by brushing the whole body down, as if you've just been covered with talcum powder or flour, and just brushing the whole body down. And then, once again, standing and feeling the whole body. Alive with sensation, buzzing, energy, tingling, pulsing. And feeling the breath. Coming to rest. Okay, so that's the end of the first half of this sequence. Okay, so moving into the second sequence. So these movements are generally more flowing movements. There's 4 of them. 3 of them are very similar, and the other is a little different. So we'll start with the one that's a bit different. So with this movement, ideally having your feet parallel but wider than hip width, with your knees facing forward. And you need to have a little bit of space around you to do this, this particular movement. So we're keeping your knees facing roughly forward. Shift your weight to the left and turn at the same time so that you're folding into that, it's called the inguinal crease. It's the point where the hip joins where the pelvis joins the leg. So you're turning to the left and folding into that leg, as it were. And then shifting your weight across to the other leg and turning at the same time, keeping your knees facing roughly forward and folding into that hip. So the temptation when we do this is for the other knee to collapse in. It doesn't really matter if that happens, but ideally aiming to keep your knees facing roughly forward and you're folding in to that hip, and then you turn from one side to the other, shifting your weight, and you can speed this up to the point where the arms swing. So it might take a bit of playing around to get a feel for this, and it doesn't really matter how you do it, but the idea is to move your weight from one side to the other while turning your body, and then you can just let the arms go, and you can actually let them flop against your body. Now you can do this ever so gently. You could do it just like this, moving very slowly, or if you want to, you can really do it quite vigorously, waking the body up. Noticing how it feels. So how does it feel in your fingers and your hands? Letting the arms go. You may find that the arms feel a bit tense. Just noticing whatever you experience. There's no right or wrong thing to be experiencing. Whatever you experience is what you experience. And breathing. And then coming to rest. And coming back to having your feet kind of shoulder width underneath you. And for this, for these movements, we always keep the feet facing forward. So you probably can't see my feet on this video, but the idea is to rather than having your feet splayed out in any way or in, is to have the toes pointing forward. And then just taking a moment to pause and feel the after effects of the movement we've just done. So feeling again the body standing, your weight sinking down through your feet. And again, taking your full height, but without locking the knees. So in this particular movement sequence, the idea is to have the knees very slightly bent. That might not feel like what you normally do. It might be that you find that you actually lock the knees. But with these, the practice is to just have the knees slightly loose rather than locked. And then we're going to do this 3 other flowing movements. Now they all involve sinking and rising. And the important thing is that you only need to sink maybe a couple of inches, and when you rise, the idea is to avoid having your legs locked. So you're sinking and then rising, and the legs stay very slightly bent. you might find this feels like a bit of a strain on your legs if you're not used to this kind of movement. So just doing this as in a way that feels comfortable. If you need to do very slight movements, then that's fine. Now that up and down motion will go through all of these three mindful movement Qigong exercises. The first one involves sinking, and then as you come up, the arms rise as if you're sleepwalking. So the fingers dripping down, and you only need to come up to about throat height, and then as you go down, the hands roll over and the palms of the hand lead. So as you're coming up, it's as if you're sleepwalking, and as you come down, the hands fold over and the palms of the hand lead. If I do this from the side, you'll get a sense that it's almost like a ribbon going in the wind. The arms come up, roll over, and they sink. Lifting up, expanding, and then this sense of condensing back again, dropping back, lifting up, gently coming down. Ideally keeping the body upright, so it's not that we're going up and then coming down forward like that. The body is just literally going up and down, but the arms come up in front and then come down. Now you can start to synchronise this with your breathing if you find that helpful. And the important thing there is to fit the movement in with your breath cycle rather than trying to force your breath to follow the movement. So waiting for an in-breath, coming up as you breathe in, waiting for an out-breath, and then coming down. How does this feel? How does it feel in your hands, your arms, and the rest of the body? Tingling, pulsing energy, the feeling of your clothes moving against your skin. If you want to, you can, rather than synchronising with your breath, you could just do the movements ever so slowly. See how that feels. And then coming to the end of the movement you're doing now. And again, pausing, feeling your body, standing, coming to rest. Breathing. So how does it feel simply to be here, right now? Sensation in the body, feeling your feet pressing into the ground, and the movement of your breath. And then we'll move into the second of these three flowing movements. So with this one, it starts the same. You sink down, and then you come up the same to start with, but then the arms start to come out to the sides. And then, again, leading with the heel of the hand, the arms come in and then come down. So the arms are doing an arc. It's a little bit like as if they're windscreen wipers. They come up and come out to the side, and they come down. Up and out to the side. So it's a little bit like a jack-in-a-box. It comes up and the arms come out, and then it folds back in, keeping a sense of length in your arms, by which I mean avoiding contracting like this. So keeping the sense of your elbows being a little bit further away from your shoulders than they would be if you were cramping up. So opening out, the arms come down. And again, as the arms come up, see if you can avoid clenching your shoulders, so keeping the shoulders wide. And you can time this with your breath if you want to. So waiting for an in-breath, coming up and opening, waiting for an out-breath, coming in and down. One last time. And then again coming into standing and coming to rest. Pausing, just feeling the body. And breathing. And then we'll move into the third and final of these flowing Qigong movements, or Qigong inspired movements. So this one involves sinking, and this time the arms come out to the side and rise and round to the front, and then this is the same as the second half of the first one. So the heels of the hand lead and the arms come down, coming up to the side, coming round to the centre, and down. So the upward movement includes coming up to the side and coming round to the centre. And then the downward movement is just like the first of the three flowing exercises. So this is a little bit like a heron spreading its wings, and I believe I'm right in saying they bring them forward to cast a shadow over the water. And again, if you want to, synchronising with your breath. You can do these movements wide and sweeping, or you could do them very small. you synchronise the movement with your breath, or whether just to let your breath come and go naturally in its own, well, whichever way you do, letting the breath come and go naturally, but you can synchronise the movement with that natural cycle, or you can move at a different pace if you prefer. One last time. And then coming to rest at the end of the mindful movement sequence, and just feeling the body as a whole now. Whatever sensations are there, opening to this moment just as it is. Feeling your weight sinking down, standing with a sense of dignity, poise, and breathing. And you can end this entire sequence by just placing one hand over the other on your belly, feeling the sensations under your hands. Okay, so that's the end of the mindful movement sequence. So perhaps bringing some of this awareness of body sensations into the next part of your day, whatever that may involve. Thank you for watching and listening.